I'm going to call the Honourable Member Megan Woods.
Thank you, Mr Chairman. And Mr Chairman, I'm very happy to take a call on part 2, and specifically I also want to address clauses 42 and 43, and to also make the comment and reiterate the question that my colleague Jacinda Ardern put to the Minister around the need to take a call and clear up this ambiguity. And Mr Chairman, I think it demonstrates the absolute worth of having a number of speeches on each part at committee stage, because we are drawing out some problems and perhaps the Minister's understanding of what it is this bill does. Because the Minister stood up and gave a defence of transparency in this bill. I just want to read to you from the Ombudsman's submission to the Select Committee over the issue of the exclusion of the Official Information Act and the Ombudsman. It was said the Education Bill runs the risk of creating a state-funded schooling regime which is shrouded in secrecy and is unaccountable. This is likely to hamper the ability of partnership schools to achieve their central goal of achieving better outcomes for students. Applying the Official Information Act and Ombudsman Act to partnership schools will assist partnership schools in exercising their statutory functions, enhance transparency and accountability, and bring New Zealand into line with international models and avoid the constitutional anomaly inherent in the current bill. So, Mr Chairman, the Ombudsman certainly did not think the appropriate levels of transparency were in the bill. And what we have a number of concerns about is the fact that a number of my colleagues have talked about the fact that the justification that was given around PTEs in early childhood centres was used, and my colleagues have covered that off. The other justifications that were given during the course of the Select Committee hearings, and indeed in the Cabinet paper, there were a couple of other justifications that were given for the exclusion for these, for the presence of clauses 42 and 43. And I just want to go through a couple of those justifications. The first of these was to avoid vexatious and costly complaints. Well, Mr Chairman, this already under the present legislation, the right to refuse frivolous or vexatious requests exists. If the Ombudsman agrees that it is frivolous or vexatious, then they simply say that the organisation doesn't have to respond. To say that you need to avoid it because it's costly is simply not good enough. This, as my colleagues have talked about, this is about transparency, about one of the most important things that we do for our children, and that is educate them. We need our parents to have access to that information and it not be excluded. We have yet to hear a justification that actually addresses the detail and head-on addresses the reason why it is that the members opposite think that it is okay that charter schools should be away from this level of scrutiny. Another justification, and a justification that actually gives me great cause for concern, is that the exemption is consistent with the status of the sponsor as a community organisation. Well, this is the one that should strike fear into the hearts of New Zealanders all over the place. This is saying that it's about the type of the organisation that's delivering the service and not what the service is. Because there's a real danger, as well as being rubbish, as my colleague Trevor Mallard says, but the danger is this is a government that is consistently contracting out of its obligations as a government to get private organisations to deliver what we consider to be core service, in this instance in the area of education, but we've also seen it with welfare legislation, that what we're saying, if a government contracts out of its obligation, it's also removing its dealings from the spotlight of scrutiny that the protections of things such as the Official Information Act should accord. This is simply not good enough. This is simply not what our children deserve. Our children deserve for information to be freely available around their education and not shrouded in secrecy. Because this is about the use of public money. This is about the use of public money going to private organisations to educate our students. Why is there no accountability? Who is going to be running these charter schools? The friends of this government? Is it more money for mates with absolutely no accountability? The Minister needs to take a call and justify why it is that they're willing to do that. That they're willing to have yet another part of their government that is run by contract. They think that is how, Mr Chairman.
I call the Honourable Minister, Hikia Parata.
Mr Chair, thank you very much. I'd like to take the opportunity of a